I want to make sure everything I coach or share with other people, I'm also applying in my life. And the bigger the goals and the bigger aspect of my life I'm pushing myself to live within, the more I'm also learning too. Hello and welcome to another episode of Strong Voice with me, Kate Strong. I always intend to bring you great interviews with inspirational leaders as well as pioneers and adventurers, yet I want to keep true to my own journey as well. Far too often in this world of coaching, of personal development and growth, we find a lot of self-proclaimed experts or coaches or consultants who are great at sharing their point of view, yet when we scratch the surface, they may or may not be actually living to what they're preaching. In these episodes, I do my best to bring you behind the curtain of my life, to share what I'm facing, what challenges I'm overcoming, and also the learns I'm experiencing or the aha moments as well. And this week has been a big one for me. As you must probably know, and if you don't, where have you been? I'm training for a world record. In June 2022, which is 2.5 years away from where we are today, I'm attempting a world's first record in cycling, swimming and mountaineering. But that's quite a long way away and a lot has to be prepared and organised in the interim. So as a short-term goal, I set another world record, partly for training, partly for exposure to get more people aware of what I'm doing, but also to keep me focused on something a bit closer so I have something to aim for in a shorter period of time. So in 3 months' time, I'm attempting to cycle the furthest distance ever on a static bicycle in 24 hours. And a man holds that world record, yet no female holds the equivalent. So I thought it'd be quite a nice thing to keep me motivated, keep me out of mischief, and again, keep my life stepping up. As I said, I want to make sure everything I coach or share with other people, I'm also applying in my life. And the bigger the goals and the bigger aspect of my life I'm pushing myself to live within, the more I'm also learning too. What I'm finding is the bigger the goals I set, the less space there is for me to hide, the less spaces there is for me to feed my excuses or my distractions or my justifications of missing a training or playing a little smaller in my life. So that's why I set my big goals. And this week really held the microscope on the importance of my language. A lot of us who are process driven, who are A-type personalities if you want, or those directors in businesses as well as those pioneers in sport, we put a lot of emphasis on the strategy, on the how. How are we going to achieve something? What actions do we need to take in order to reach certain milestones or targets? What assets or tools or equipment or partnerships need to be in place in order for us to get there? Yet this process or strategy is only part of the picture. And something that came to light very, very powerfully for me this week was that this strategy, albeit is vital, only accounts to about 20% of the probability of success. The remaining resides in myself. It resides in how I perceive the challenge or the goal I'm facing, how I speak to myself, how I speak to others, how I present the actions that I'm either doing or need to do in the future. So this larger yet seemingly less tangible aspect of the goals of achieving what we want is sometimes put as a lesser importance. Yet this week for me, as I said, I saw it as big as it needs to be respected too. So I personally feel that what we say, our perception, our mindset and our beliefs around what we're doing and what we're striving to accomplish will account for 80% of the probability of us succeeding versus only 20% for that strategy behind it. So regardless what you are doing in your life, be it trying to grow a business, you've got a great idea, you want to launch that company, or in your personal life you're ready to, make your relationship work a bit better. I'm not sure where you are in your life or what it's been like, but for me in lockdown it's really sort of shown me the importance of nourishing my relationship with my partner, because we're pretty much together all the time now. So we could have a strategy, we could have those date nights in the diary, yet if I turn up with an attitude of, I'm just ticking a box, I'm here for the date night and scrolling on my phone, checking in with texts with other people, that buy-in of the goal is not present. So it's actually me turning up every single day, committed to a great relationship is what makes it great, rather than the strategy of those date nights or whatever goal you're setting. So yeah, as I said, regardless if you're striving to grow a business, wanting to improve a certain relationship in your life, or set that physical challenge, and also spiritually as well, if your intention is to become more aware or heal from something from the past, we can have the plan in place. But it's our attitude and the language we use towards that plan, towards that goal, which will pretty much define our success or otherwise. So I had a long training session recently. So this is where I had that magnifying or aha moment of the importance of this, where as you know, I'm training for 24 hours on a bike. So part of that is to sit on a bike and train a lot. And so last week I did the longest cycle training I've had to date, which was over 9 hours sitting on that bike. If you're watching on YouTube, which is YouTube channel is Kate Strong TV, you can see it behind. I was just sitting on this bike for 9 hours straight. And you can also see what I look at when I cycle, which is the side of a bookshelf. So it's not like I have much to distract myself with. So I'm left with me and my thoughts and my body a lot. And for the first few hours, I was pretty motivated. I was feeling strong. I was imagining me finishing, how this is going to help me finish my world records and accomplish something no female has before. And then I started to feed the pain and the insecurities. The what if crept in. What if you have a knee ache, Kate? What if you start to struggle on keeping my cadence, the amount of times my legs rotate up? What if you can't accomplish it? And pretty quickly, my thoughts, instead of imagining the success and also being present in what I was doing, I started to imagine the failure. So last week, my miles per hour was below what I would have had to do to have a world record. Yet, I am 3 months away from that target. So for where I am on my training, my strategy, I am on track. I need to be where I am today to be stronger, so in the future, I will be faster. Yet, last week, in my thoughts, when I became complacent and let my mind drift, I started to compare myself today to where I need to be in 3 months' time. And I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't coping emotionally or resiliently, if that's a word, enough. So in comparing myself to others and comparing myself to a future part of the strategy rather than being committed to the moment, I started to doubt myself. I started to notice the niggles in my body and imagine it 5, 10, 15 hours later, as it will be in 3 months' time, yet make it larger in proportion. And the result was, for 2 hours, the last 2 hours of that 9-hour cycle wasn't physically painful, it was mentally painful. I carried a lot of fear. Whenever I felt something, a niggle in my knee or a discomfort or a twinge in my hip, I'd immediately grow it out of proportion and think that this meant that I couldn't cycle anymore. And it was my thoughts that was feeding my fear of failure rather than my thoughts feeding the actions I needed today and the belief of the possibility of success in the future. And so now, what do you do from here? It's all fair and well knowing that we have these what if thoughts, and they're very valid. Thanks to these what if thoughts of what could happen here, there and everywhere, I'm now engaging with a stronger, more robust team to support me in those spaces to answer the questions of nutrition. Because part of my what if was, what if I run out of energy? I didn't know the answer, yet now I know I need to. I can speak to a specialist and they can give me some value advice in making sure my nutrition supports my energy for the 24 hours. So these what ifs are very valid. We need to know these questions and these concerns in order to answer them with knowledge. Yet we need to also make sure that we are resilient enough to hold the space in the moment, to do what we need to in that space, without allowing the what ifs to create a space for failure in the moment. In short, we need to be hyper vigilant and nourish positive beliefs, constructive thoughts, empowering words that allow us to take decisive action in working towards our goals. If we allow our thoughts and our beliefs to add an element of doubt and to feed those insecurities, our words will become or paint a picture of that reality of failure, and our actions will actually mirror our words. I've written down a quote, so I'm going to read it to you from Gandhi, which is absolutely on point for this. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And it starts off with our beliefs, thoughts and words. That's what happens inside our head. So whenever now I have a belief or a thought of concern, of negativity, of what if this happens, instead of allowing it to manifest and swirl around my thinking and potentially consuming a moment where it isn't even impacting it, I write it down. I write it down in my strategy to make sure I can answer it, resolve it, avoid it, or rectify it. And then I make sure my language is always creating that moment of empowerment for myself. Doesn't mean I don't show concern, doesn't mean I'm not nervous. As I said, I am on track, yet I'm not there yet, but I don't need to be. How many of us set a goal for in 3 years' time or 6 months' time, and yet today we're impatiently waiting for that moment? I need to, and I'm inviting you to as well, to enjoy now. Now is perfect. Now is the foundation for that 6-month goal, for that 2-year plan. So now is exactly where we need to be. And those concerns need to be let go, dropped into that strategy, so that our mindset, our belief of potentiality, our belief of success is left in that 80% driving us forward. On the 7th of January 2021, I'm going to be sitting on a bicycle for pretty much 24 hours cycling non-stop. My intention is to cover over 500 miles, 800 kilometers. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. There are so many things I need to get right between now and then. Yet if I focus on the now and do my best now and follow that plan and believe that plan, I'll be a heck of a lot closer to achieving it. And I'm learning at the moment to let go of my expectations. I'm learning to let go of my impatience and those negative voices, to make sure my words today leave me in a space of creating that future as a reality and not just leaving it on my wish list.